Welcome back to another episode of GuruTalk. Today I have a new friend of mine, Anthony DiPasquale, here today with me, who is going to be talking with me a little bit about supplementation for disease processes in the body, for helping to alkalinize the body, for helping to make the body become a healing instrument of itself. And I basically reached out to him through a friend because of the little thyroid nodule that I had on my thyroid that is still being biopsied, and we're waiting for those results to come back. And Anthony and I had a great conversation. I said, you know what, we got to get some of this information you're talking about out there. So Anthony, welcome to the show, first of all.
Well, thanks for having me on, Dave.
And just for people who may think that your name kind of rings a bell in their head, your uncle is Mauro DiPasquale, Dr. Mauro DiPasquale, who used to write a column for Muscle Mag, who I followed over the years and became friends with myself. And I didn't even know you guys were related. That's an interesting, what was it like growing up with Mauro as your uncle?
Oh, it was incredible. Like, I just remember one day I was 12, and when I was a kid, I always thought you're either strong or you're not strong. Like, it's just the way it is, right?
Right.
And I saw him coming out of his pool. We're hanging out at his house. He walks out of his pool, and he's all muscles and like veins the size of, like, I don't know, crayons. And then it just kind of dawned on me. I was like, you know what? I think you can become strong. It's not either you are or you're not. And that was like kind of a pivotal moment. And as I was saying to you earlier, like, he was a big part of the inspiration for me to actually pick up weights and start lifting, which I did at 15, a couple of years after that.
He's definitely, I wish he was my uncle growing up, because I had 1,000,001 questions, and he probably would have been easily able to answer them, as far as.
He was the coolest uncle.
Right? I mean, is there anything that he doesn't know, that you could possibly ask him as a child about working out, eating right, supplementation, right?
And he had a massive gun collection. He's making his own bullets.
Oh, well, I didn't know he was into guns, really.
Whatever Mauro does, he goes all the way. He doesn't do anything half-assed.
You got to be pretty hardcore when you make your own bullets, right?
He's making his own bullets, man. Crazy stuff.
So how did you, what's your background in terms of nutrition and education?
So I got a BSc in nutrition, okay. And as I'm getting my BSc, I'm becoming interested in vitamins. I happen to move near a health store, mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, why aren't they ever talking about supplements in class? Mm-hmm. And so I was like, well, I got to finish this thing. So I went through my 4 years. I got my BSc. I ended up updating it, but it was just nothing about enzymes, supplements, nothing.
Zero.
Like this mythical balanced diet that magically gives you all the nutrients you need. And, you only need 56 grams of protein a day, right, if you're a male. And if you're really athletic, maybe you can bump it up 50% from there. And so I got my holistic credentials after that. And I ended up teaching in like kind of square colleges, and I taught in holistic colleges.
Gotcha. And
I found that teaching was really like, you got to know things next level when you're teaching.
Absolutely.
You're gonna get all kinds of questions, right?
What always amazed me, Anthony, is that how the medical establishment, and the Association of Nutritionists, or whatever the hell it's called nowadays, how they could possibly think that someone who doesn't train at all or do any kind of physical activity could possibly need the same amount of protein as someone who's going to a gym or even just running on a track, breaking down physical muscle tissue on a daily basis. How they could possibly have the same protein requirements and nutrient requirements when we know all these nutrients are cofactors in the Krebs cycle and all the energy cycles of the body. How they could actually make that statement that people don't need any more protein or any more nutrients. It's almost like mind-boggling that the educational systems in Canada and the U.S. can come up with these conclusions and actually make them public and teach it in school.
I mean, I don't think the food guides are 100% bad. They do allow 30% more protein for athletic types. But I mean, I taught sports nutrition. And so there's so much evidence that taking extra magnesium, extra zinc, other nutrients helps your performance. But no, this well-balanced diet. So if you're an athlete and you're eating more, you're going to get all you need, right?
Yeah.
Which flies in the face of research, even on sedentary people. They're deficient. We're deficient, and I take 10,000 units of vitamin D, which is, I don't know how many times more than the DRI, but it's based on science. So like you said, it's mind-boggling because we have these governing bodies that that say they're based on science, but they're actually not. They're based on bias. And
I
the
think,
bias is against supplements.
wasn't it up until like 2000 that they were saying that that anabolic steroids didn't actually build more muscle or increase performance? I believe that was the statement up until that point. It's true. They said the American College of Sports Medicine said that anabolic steroids don't build muscle at an accelerated rate at all.
Not a significant amount.
It's a placebo effect, That's what they say.
But I mean, you and I have both worked with people that are taking stuff, and we see they blow up week by week. So,
right.
I've helped people have less drugs. Like I helped one guy with a lot less cutting drugs. He's still got into great shape, so I helped him with that. But I wouldn't be so dumb as to say, hey, let's have you go into a contest where everyone's using stuff and you're not going to use any stuff. Okay, that's going to work.
Right, yeah. I think people overdo the dosages nowadays, but because look at the guys back in the 90s, they were using a fraction of what guys use today, anabolic steroid wise, and they looked, just as good, if not better. So, but that's another conversation we can have. Let's talk about my situation. I called you up. I said, look, I got a nodule on my thyroid. I don't know if it's cancer or not. But it's a cyst, obviously, on my thyroid. I'm having it biopsied, and which you concurred with, obviously. And I said, what can I do for this? And you gave me a whole list of things I can do. Tell the viewers what you suggested to me and why, because it was so logical and a lot of it made a lot of sense to me and resonated with me. And these are things that you can holistically do to heal yourself and to give your body the tools that it needs to heal itself without obviously having to take drugs or necessarily get surgeries and stuff like that.
Well, that's what I love about supplements. Let's say I mess up, I told you the wrong thing, and you take it, it's not gonna harm you.
Yeah, right.
So even if I told you the wrong thing, but with any kind of growth, I mean, the evidence with Pancreatin, if I had to open up one health store with one product, it would be Pancreatin, because it does everything.
Explain what Pancreatin is.
So Pancreatin is an enzyme extract that they squeeze out of pig pancreases. So it's a slaughterhouse byproduct. Mm-hmm. And modern humans we're all kind of enzyme, let's say, deficient or enzyme borderline, because in school they said your body makes all the enzymes you need, unlimited production. It's not true. As humans age, our enzyme levels go down, down, down. So you have a white blood cell, you've got something growing in the body, whether it's your own tissue, like a growth, a tumor, a cyst, which is your own tissue, or it's something foreign, your white blood cells go there. They're like, we're going to digest this and get it out.
Yeah.
But how are they going to digest it if our body is low in protease, right? So we look at a product like Volbenzyme from Germany, which is like legendary amongst athletes for lowering inflammation, promoting healing. Mm-hmm. Its star ingredient is pancreatin. Mm-hmm. Now, Germans, they eat a lot of pork, so they have a lot of slaughterhouse byproducts. So it's just an enzyme squeezed out of pork pancreas, and it raises the protease in your body, and your white blood cells get a lot stronger and taken out stuff that's not supposed to be there. I've had phenomenal feedback on it.
Now, is pancreatin, it's an array of enzymes. It's not just the pancreatic digestive enzymes. It's the amylases, which digest carbohydrates, and the lipases also that digest fats, right?
Exactly, man. You got it.
Yeah.
So it's one of the strongest. You can get protease from bromelain, and I was reading a book by a semi-vegetarian guy, and he was talking about cleaning the colon, Bernard Jensen. And he said pancreatin really loosens up plaque in the colon, helps get it out. He's like, I wish there was something. This guy did it for 50 years. Uh-huh. I wish there was something as strong as pancreatin, because I'm veered towards vegetarianism. He's like, nothing is as strong as pancreatin.
Wow.
Bromelain, papain. I rotate. I take pancreatin myself about 1 week a month, but it's just such a strong protease. And pigs are not that different to us, so I think their protease is very useful for us, because you get pig valves and other parts from pigs put into humans, so they're not that different than we are.
Right. Now, how much pancreatin do you recommend that people take on a daily basis?
Well, I mean, I'm not supposed to recommend anything, but I have no problem saying things I'm not supposed to say.
Right.
So what I do personally, that's how I often phrase it, is what do I do myself? So if I want to go heavy on pancreatin, like when I'm doing my cleansing, my fasting, I'll take 10 or 20 or 30 pills a day.
Wow.
People have told me taking 10 pills a day, shocking benefits, shocking. Like one chick had ovarian cysts. I don't know if I told you about her. And she was scheduled for an ultrasound in a few weeks. And they said, we might have to operate on you because you got a bunch of cysts. She started taking 10 a day. She does her ultrasound. Less than a month later, they said, you have no cysts.
Wow.
You have no cysts.
That's amazing.
She had them before, right? So,
yeah.
And like I say, if it doesn't take it away for some reason, it ain't going to harm you because enzymes are good for us.
Right. I just started actually taking it. I bought it on Amazon. I have not taken 10 a day, but maybe I should. What would you do? For like a week, maybe do 10 a day, or for 2 weeks?
Yeah, that's what people have told me they do, 1 or 2 weeks of 10 a day.
Okay.
Before I recommend anything, I'm the kind of nutritionist, maybe you've done this yourself. I want to try it first and I want to go far with it. And then I feel comfortable, I can talk about it. So I've done 30, 40, 50 pills in a day.
Wow.
Nothing happened. Nothing bad happened. And we've got enzyme research back from the 30s showing that they couldn't find a toxic level. It didn't matter how high they went. They just couldn't find a problem.
You know, I think what people also should understand too is because a lot of times people recommend digestive enzymes, but some of the formulations out there have hydrochloric acid in it because those activate the enzymes. You know, you don't want the ones with the HCl in it because you will get indigestion from that if you take too many.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I would never take 10 pills of hydrochloric acid, and it's really awesome that you brought that up because that's going to burn a hole right through your stomach.
Yeah. So I wanted to clarify that point. Yeah,
oh, no, that's awesome. That's an
it's
awesome
just
point.
pancreatin. Yeah. And you could read the ingredient list. I'm going to hold I've been saying it for 2 years, but I'm going to hold a course on how to read labels because I think a lot of people out there have no idea how to read a food label or supplement label. The first thing you look at is the ingredient list because the ingredients have to tell you what's in the formulation. Most people just go to the supplement fact panel, the food panel. They want to see how many protein, fat, and carbs in there. But those are completely skewed a lot of times because depending on the serving size, and you don't really know what's in there.
Oh,
people think, I could do this butter spray because it's got nothing in it, 0, 0, 0. No, well, that's because with one spray, they can put zeros. But really, if you did 10 sprays, which most people do, you're going to have a lot of fat in there, okay? And it's going to be a bad fat. So read your ingredient list. That'll tell you everything.
You brought up a real good point about things being skewed. Labels lie, okay? So the FDA in your country and Health Canada in my country, they're not checking that what's on the label is true. So I brought to class when I was teaching, I brought up a label from potato chips. And I said, now this label has been analyzed by a consumer lab to have 30% trans fat.
Wow.
That label said 0 grams of trans fat in a serving.
Unbelievable.
0.
Wow.
And it was 30, like not even 1%. Like you can hide 1% and say, okay, sorry, 1%, you do some Italian accounting. It was 1%, but I called it 0. It's close. But 30% goddamn trans fats, and they called it 0 grams.
That's
because
crazy.
If you know nutritional science, like you and me, can you make a French fry, or can you make a potato chip with vegetable oil, like safflower, sunflower, canola, all that garbage? Can you make a chip with that and it won't have trans fat? How would you do that?
Yeah.
It's an unstable fat.
Becomes
you can't fry the
hydrogenated,
hell out of it, and it's not going to change.
Yeah. No, people don't realize that. And I'm not even talking about the companies that lie about what's on the label. I'm talking about just people who actually put what is on the label. Read the ingredients. A lot of times it's right there in front of you. There's sugar in there. It might be called, corn syrup. It might be called molasses. It might be called honey. But there's sugar in there, you know what I mean? I have people I put on diets, and I'm like, what are you taking this in for? Are you crazy? It says 0, 0, 0 on the nutrition fact. I said, but did you read the ingredients? It's got sugar in there.
Well, you got to know what you're reading too. So you put clients on diets. I've had 2 clients show me a product for weight loss that was full of fructose. Yeah. I'm like, that is the most that refined sugar is the most diabetes fattening sugar you could possibly use.
Absolutely.
There is, like, glucose would be 100 times better. Even sucrose would be fairly much better, but and there's research on that. But then you get these guys that are saying, well, you shouldn't eat a fruit because a fruit has fructose, but we have research on fruits and we have research on fructose. It's not the same. It's like comparing a blow-up doll to your girlfriend. It's not the same. They might look similar.
They're really not? I did not. I look at ice pops. My kids love ice pops, and I got to tell you, on 9 out of 10 boxes of ice pops, first ingredient is high fructose corn syrup. And obviously I won't buy them those. Those are the cool ones too, the bomb pops, all the ones they want. And so I got to get the fruit juice flavored ones, or the ones that have natural sugars in there, cane sugar, because I feel much more comfortable giving them that, because we know that high fructose corn syrup is detrimental in a million different ways. We can do a whole show on that too. But so you got to read your ingredient list. Now, getting back to my situation, Pancreatin, I know you're really big on that. Anything? What else would you recommend in terms of? Are you a big body alkalinizer, or is that something that you
yeah,
champion?
alkalizing the body. If something is cancerous, then alkalizing the body, that's been done since the early 1900s.
Yeah.
Medicine used to do it, right? Then the Rockefellers kind of took over medical training and they took away alkalizing. But medical doctors used to alkalize the body with a case of cancer, and it was very often helpful.
Yeah.
With just pure baking soda.
That's something I started doing in the morning.
So now you can over-alkalize your body. So some of the best research I've seen on that was measuring people's venous blood to the second decimal. You can alkalize too far. I mean, alkalosis can lead to death. So, but an accurate thing you can do is just listen to how you're feeling. Listen to your body. So you taking a quarter teaspoon of baking soda, taking a half teaspoon, a teaspoon once, twice a day.
Right.
See how you're feeling. If you're starting to feel worse, then you're over-alkalizing yourself.
I've been doing a teaspoon in the morning, like usually, because I usually takes me about 2 hours after I wake up to actually eat something. So I take it in the morning, I let it alkalinize my body, and of course, what's going to happen is the kidneys are going to start pumping out the bicarb, but it's going to take about 4 to 5 hours to pump it out. So you get a nice little 4 or 5 hour boost of alkalinization to your body.
How do you feel though when you take it?
What? I feel good. Sometimes I have to I'll have to go to the bathroom, not like diarrhea or anything like that, but it makes me have to go.
It stimulates you a bit.
What?
Okay.
Yeah.
It just kind of stimulates you.
Yeah, but I feel good. I feel like energized. I don't know if it's psychological or what, but.
Because I've done a lot of alkaline experiments with myself, and I don't do well in the morning with alkaline stuff, but I do well in the evening. So you just got to listen to your body, right?
I'll do it twice if I remember. Sometimes at night I forget, or I don't want to pee all night, so I don't want to put too much, water into my. I don't want to drink too much water before bed. But I notice when I alkalinize my body, whether it be via green vegetables or green juices or apple cider vinegar, I do that a lot too. I feel like I feel better. And I'm very attuned to my body, like to foods. When I eat healthy foods, I feel better. But a lot of people say, Dave, you got a great metabolism. You could eat anything. How come you don't eat any junk food ever? I said, because you know what? It's like something like my body tells me I don't feel good on that. Like I don't think clearly. I don't have energy. But when I eat the right foods, even though I don't necessarily have to because I have a very fast metabolism, I function better. And for me, functionality is important. And also, if you're in a good mood all the time, why would you want to take something that makes you feel sluggish or not in such a good mood,
Well, I think you're bringing up a really massive, massive point, because I remember being like a young teen and I would just throw anything down my gullet, right? Like whatever, like that looks good, I'm going to eat it.
Yeah.
So if you can really start to tune in, like, okay, how am I feeling now? It's, I've just eaten this product. Now it's an hour or two later, it's the same day. So if you can tune into how things make you feel, getting back to baking soda, one of my clients' friends, she had like wicked arthritis. She heard about alkalizing the body. She was doing a teaspoon a day of baking soda.
Right.
Within 1 month, she had no arthritic pain.
Wow.
Now, this is my client telling me, and you got to ask yourself, like, okay, follow the money. Like, does her friend have stocks in baking soda company?
Right.
Like, where's the money in baking soda? You get a pound of it for like $1, I guess, so.
The medical establishment will never tell you to take baking soda because, like you said, it's too cheap and they cannot make money off of that. They want to sell you drugs, prescription drugs to solve your problems. And so that's probably the cheapest thing you could possibly do to increase your health. And no one will ever suggest that anywhere. And if you do it as a doctor, they'll probably take your license away from you,
Yeah, you could get into some deep doo-doo on that. Yeah. And about the pH, so the real clinical people are going to say, the body has multiple buffer systems and you can't appreciably change your pH.
Yeah.
That's bunk. Okay, so the book I was reading where the guy was taking people's venous blood and measuring it to the second decimal.
Yeah.
Yes, it's true and it's not true. Yes, we have multiple buffer systems, but the two people he found they were way off. So the blood in your veins is supposed to be pH 7.45. He found a dude that was 7.49. This guy was in a mental institution.
Wow.
And he corrected his pH. He acidified this guy, got him to 7.45, and he improved so much they released him from the mental institution. The guy's name is Rudolph Wiley, who wrote this book. And he found someone else who's 7.41 instead of 7.45. Like, that sounds so minuscule.
Yeah.
But this person's health sucked. and he alkalized her up to 7.45, and her health like massively improved. So that little bit in the human body is going to make, or can make, a real appreciable difference.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, your body has buffering systems that will keep the blood pH within a certain tight range, but like you said, it could be off a little bit, and your health can suffer from that. And so also, if your body is now, because it doesn't have the right nutrients to buffer, and it's pulling, calcium out of your bones,
Exactly.
giving you basically, osteoporosis, to use the calcium to create
Yeah.
a buffer to raise your blood pH. Obviously, that's not good for your body. It's putting your body in a state of breakdown in a sense.
Yeah, like a buddy of mine's dad had advanced osteoporosis. I'm like, well, what does your dad do? Because, you and I, the first thing we would think about is he sedentary or not?
Right,
Is he
right.
stressing his bones? He's like, well, my dad's a heavy equipment mechanic.
Oh.
I'm like, okay, does he have a helper? He's like, well, no, not really. So that part was taken out. And then, so my next thing was, what you said about you get acidic. So I asked him, does your dad drink pop? He's like, my dad drinks pop by the case.
Yeah.
I said, that's why he has osteoporosis. Because the phosphoric acid from the pop
Leeches.
is acidifying his body. And so that he doesn't die, as you said, the body will use calcium to buffer that, pull it out of the bones. And so all this guy would have needed was vitamin D and some calcium and magnesium, and stop drinking that goddamn pop. But yeah, that little bit of, and so going back to your point earlier about listening to your body. So you don't have to measure your blood to the second decimal.
Mm-hmm.
You can just eat more alkaline foods and just really tune in. How am I feeling from this, right? Or a little more baking soda, which is a little bit of a Thor's hammer way of lowering your, raising your pH. But sometimes you want to do things in a hurry, right?
It's cheating. It's cheating basically, but it's cheating in a good way as long as you don't overdo it. I think people get carried away and then they do too much and then they give themselves diarrhea or they feel sick from it. It's all about balance, and just tweaking things just enough to get, what you're looking for out of there. I can't believe that my body would be acidic because I think I eat so healthy and so clean, but who knows, stress and stuff like that raises, acidity in your body, and I might not even be acidic, but what the truth is, when you're trying to fight any kind of ailment, you sometimes need a little help, so to speak. And so it's not something you have to necessarily do all the time, but during times if you get sick, or if you find that you're run down, or like you said, maybe you have excessive inflammation in your body, sometimes your body just needs a little help to get past that little sticking point that it's at.
Exactly. Like if you're dealing with a lump, a bump, a tumor, a cyst, maybe for a short time getting a little bit too alkaline could be a good thing, because cancer has a real hard time growing in an acidic environment, which is why they used to cut people open and throw baking soda on their tumor.
Did they really do that?
Yeah, they really did that.
Wow.
Up until about the 20s, and it always would shrink the tumor. Sometimes it would disappear, but it would always reduce.
I mean, think about athletes though too. I mean, athletes produce a tremendous amount of lactic acid, from training.
That's right.
I mean, I have to believe that
Mauro did some research on that. He got into the baking soda for a while, but problem is some people are sensitive to it. So me, myself, I wish I could try it more, but any more than like the tiniest amount, it's like a mega super duper laxative for me. I can't.
Oh, really?
It. Yeah. So I'll do it on my fasting days. That's cool.
Right.
But not in my day-to-day life, man. It's just too much.
It doesn't make me go terribly, but it kind of just gave me a little bit the urge to, which was fine with me because it wasn't like it wiped me out. It just, it just made me have to go. But I felt good after using it. So, like I said, maybe my body needs the boost right now. I find that doing like certain nutritional supplements should be there all the time, and then others are kind of like should be cycled. Like you said, maybe once every other month, or maybe once every 6 months, depending on what you're doing. Like I tell people they should do like at least every 6 months some kind of a detox to their body. Maybe cut back your protein you're eating, increase some of the liver detoxification, kidney detoxification supplements. Give your body a break, especially if you're bodybuilding, you're eating 6 to 8 meals a day and you're training 5 days a week. It beats your body up a little bit. And sometimes giving your body a chance to kind of, quote, catch up, so to speak, will long-term have you get better results because you're allowing your body to heal itself.
I agree. And, as we were talking, I saw we had a lot of parallels because we're both the same age. We're both 5'10". We're both about 180 pounds.
Right.
Although you look like you look like you have about 4 times more muscle than I do. So no, there must be some kind of camera trick or Photoshop going on here.
I don't know. I think it's the fact that I was 300 pounds, like 15 years ago. That might have something to do with it.
I definitely cycle stuff because there's so much stuff I take. And if I took everything every day, I would never get out of my supplement drawer, right?
Yeah,
So,
well, you should see this bag of stuff I swallow every day. It's amazing,
So yeah, the pancreatin, about 1 week a month I take it, and I rotate everything. So my enzymes, sometimes I do the fungal enzymes, sometimes I do the bromelain, papain.
Right.
So I go back and forth on different things. And like you said, some things are basics, like the vitamin C, always there. I like MSM a lot, so I'm always taking MSM as well.
Yeah, I take that too. That's in my Arthrolyze product. But yeah, you mentioned vitamin C too. What is a good dose you think of vitamin C, especially when you're fighting illness or you're trying to fight some kind of like a possible, cancer or something like that?
So my regular dose since I was about 20 years old, 32 years ago, is about 2,000 milligrams a day. So that's my regular dose based on a lot of stuff that I've looked at. Mm-hmm. And if I'm fighting stuff, it's really interesting, and many other people have told me this. So we have a bowel tolerance, right? So you take too much C, you'll get the runs.
Right.
But if you get sick, that bowel tolerance can be drastically higher.
Interesting.
So I remember once I had a flu from hell. Like I felt like I was going to die any second. And I took 50 grams of vitamin C, 50,000 milligrams. And my gut just felt perfect. It didn't do anything to my gut.
Really?
I couldn't believe it. Normally, I can't go past 3,000, but 50,000. So I say just take it until you get the trots, So I had. Yeah. Go ahead. No,
I was gonna say, what do you think about? And because someone had sent me this, and I did some research on it. It sounds reasonable. I haven't tried it yet. A liposomal delivery vitamin C. Vitamin C that's kind of encapsulated in fatty acids, so that it gets absorbed better.
That stuff is the bomb. That's really incredible stuff. Yeah. My dad had like a transient ischemic attack, a transient stroke, and I made him a liter of this stuff, man. I got an ultrasonic thing that makes it.
Oh, really?
So it's done with phospholipids like lecithin, and it ramps up the levels of vitamin C in your cells way more than you could do with regular vitamin C. Like not only at the gut absorption, but even getting it into the cell. So liposomal is cool. If you can afford it or you want to make your own, it's good stuff.
I saw it was expensive. I ordered a 30-day supply of it. It's like, I think you take 1,000 milligrams a day. That was the recommended dose, at least, because it's supposed to be more potently absorbed. And I wanted to just see if I felt any different on it. Because like you said, I like to experiment on myself first to see how it works,
Right.
It makes sense.
No, I'm a big fan.
Science-wise. Yeah. Because it basically because it's encapsulated in fats, it can kind of just combine with your cell membranes, right? And just kind of just deliver the stuff like almost like it's injecting it into your cells.
Absolutely.
Yeah, makes sense. Anything else you could think of in a situation where people have like immune system issues or maybe excessive inflammation that you would recommend that people add to their stacks of stuff they take?
An interesting thing for inflammation is if they can get their hands on a strong magnet, because I was reading 2 Americans who did a whole bunch of research, and they were comparing notes with some Japanese people that the north pole of the magnet was really heavily bringing down biological processes. So I have a pretty strong magnet, and if I put it against my heart, which I researched it first, see if you don't have a pacemaker, that's okay. It actually will slow your heart rate, and you'll feel calmer.
Wow.
So if you can get a little magnet that's strong and put the north pole against a lump or a bump, then it should help to bring that swelling down.
Better than taking a beta blocker.
The south pole magnet tends to bring up biological processes. What was that?
I said better than a beta blocker. Do you feel that cell phone radiation is a problem?
Absolutely. I went to my holistic dentist, and I was reading this dental journal that he subscribes to, and it just reminded me, right? So that's why it's good for nutritionists like yourself and myself to kind of talk shop, and we remind each other of stuff. I'm like, yeah, there's a whole bunch of research against electromagnetic fields, against especially cell phones. So every time I've got my cell phone on my body, I'm carrying it in my pocket. I'll put it on airplane.
Interesting.
Every time.
Wow.
So it's not live on my body, right?
Yeah,
and
I should do more of that.
My cell phone like this radiating my head. I have it out, and then I've got a wire, and I'm talking in there. So.
I had my AirPods in the other day. I was doing my TV show, and one of the guys in the comments, because I was doing it live, was yelling at me. They're like, "You got a thyroid problem? You got the earpods? And get those out. Turn the Bluetooth off." I mean, I don't know if you know.
But you said, was it Air? Did you say AirPod or EarPod?
The AirPods, but they were in my ears. They're basically Bluetooth devices that connect to my iPhone.
Oh, okay. Because with the American versus Canadian accent, sometimes I'm not sure. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's bad or not. I don't know. Is Bluetooth
I have
bad?
ones that work on air, like gaseous air. So there's no wire between your ears.
Right.
So they've got a speaker thing, and the speaker thing talks into a tube of air, and then the tube of air resonates and gives you the sound. So that's kind of a cool one.
Yeah. So do
There
you
are
think
devices you can stick on your phone that I think are helpful. I got one for my bro. He gave me very good feedback because he used to get a lot of headaches from using his phone.
Right.
I gave him this device from California. It's from, it'll come to me, Tachyon. And he noticed that he felt a lot less problems with his head because he kept using his phone like that. He didn't want to get the earpiece.
I usually use it on speakerphone, to be honest with you, most of the time. And
That's cool.
I'm always getting yelled at by my wife because I have a loud mouth and I'm like screaming into the speakerphone and like everyone in the whole house can hear me, you know. But that's just how I do it. I'll sit and I'll do work and I'll scream at the phone, you know. But
it's a lot safer because with radiation, it's the square of the distance, right?
Sure.
So if that phone is twice as far, it's
Right.
4 times less radiation. If it's 3 times as far, it's 9 times less radiation.
I feel like the more technologically advanced our society gets, the more likely we are to die of the technology that we're creating, because between 5G and Bluetooth and radiation from your computer screen, nothing's safe anymore. I mean, right?
I mean, I still want to live in civilization.
Right.
As much as it's appealing to go in a cave somewhere and eat pine needles all day. And so I'm kind of a hippie, so I always walk around with crystals on me.
Yeah.
Whether they help or not, I don't know, but I do like the Tachyon products, and I have had good feedback from both my brothers on the Tachyon products.
Now, how do you attach them to your phone? What do you do with those Tachyon products?
It's just a skinny disc, and you stick it on in the back of the phone, and I put it on underneath the case, so the case really can't even fall off.
Oh, really? So it absorbs some of the radiation? Is that the idea?
I think I don't fully understand it because I'm not that up on crystal stuff, but my understanding is that the crystal can only resonate at a certain frequency. So it gets, if you can hit a tuning fork any way you want, it's still going to operate, it's still going to vibrate at that one frequency. So it gets hit by these waves, and then it vibrates at a healthy frequency. And your body, I think your biological system can tune into a healthy frequency given the choice.
Hey, you know, and I'll try anything. What the heck?
Just like if you have 2 TVs on and one is more interesting, you can tune out the other one, right? Or 2 sounds, right?
My wife could listen to a TV, have a headset on, and be answering emails. I can only do one thing at a time.
Oh yeah. I don't know how women do that. I've seen women multitask. I'm like, how do you do that?
I can't multitask. I don't know what the hell's going on. I'm listening to 14 different things. I can't do anything. I'm like paralyzed. Basically.
One thing at a time, man. That's all I can do.
We sit at my dinner table. My son has got the one iPad. My daughter's got an iPhone on. The TV's on for the baby. And I'm trying to answer emails, and I feel like I'm going insane, essentially, you know.
That's overload for me. That's overload. Yeah. That's when I start thinking about the cave and the pine needles.
That's right. Yeah. I want to go live in Africa somewhere, like in
or northern Canada, because we all stay away from northern.
No,
Canada.
I don't want no cold. I came to Florida to get out of the cold. I want warm. I'll live in the Sahara Desert before I live in Canada.
No, I work out in the snow. What else am I going to do? I got to train still, right? The gyms are still closed.
You got to go. You got to move to Florida. That's what you got to do, Anthony. Man.
Yeah. Hey, invite me down, man. I'll go
anytime, man. We'll open a holistic crystal center, and we can hibernate. We can create like a barrier to prevent all the 5G radiation from getting in there.
Exactly.
Anyway, but I appreciate you taking time out of your day and coming on the show and helping me out with some suggestions in terms of my situation. And we should have you back, and I'd like to discuss other stuff, other topics related to this, because these are important to give people ideas to start getting them thinking for themselves. I'm not telling people you have to do this, you have to do that. It's just something to get their mind thinking in other directions so they can do their own research and come up with maybe some of their own protocols.
Absolutely. When I do health research, I try to use any search engine except Google, because Google I find is not very holistic, friendly.
No,
not anymore. And I had one of my bros is an IT dude, and I'm like, okay, do a search on, hydrogen peroxide, and I gave him a health condition on Google, and it was all like bad, it's quackery. I said, okay, now do the same search use a different engine,
Right.
completely different first page.
That's weird.
Because he didn't believe me. He thinks I'm a conspiracy nut. He saw it with his own eyes.
Yeah,
So-
it's kind of
So
sad
yeah,
that
like
we're
you
being
said,
we're
do
being
your own
censored.
research, see what resonates with you, try stuff out. Absolutely.
There you go. And on that little bell and note,
Oh, now you can hear they're coming to get me.
yeah. We gave out a little too much information today. That's for sure.
That's it. The Google police are coming.
Well, guys, that's going to take us to the end of another episode of Guru Talk. I'm Dave Palumbo with Anthony DiPasquale. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.